Hi, I'm Patti Moreno, the Garden Girl.
And I'm William Moss, and we're here today to talk about composting. Compost is very important because it's a way that people can take what they have already in their yard, in their kitchen, and return it into the ground.
It's also just part of being a responsible citizen of the earth. We've got a compost bin here, and it's made out of 19-gauge hardware cloth. It's really simple to do. Anybody can make this. And we're gonna put our compost in here.
Exactly, and when you compost, you gotta have two elements. You gotta have some green, and you gotta have some brown. Basically some wet and some dry. So what we got on this side is we got a lot of green, fresh stuff from the garden. We could also use a lot of food scraps. So we're gonna just start out by putting some of this nice green material into the bottom.
Over here, I've got my brown matter, and that's just a bunch of leaves that we raked up from the yard here. Now, if we just take these and just dump them in here, it's not gonna compost quickly. We wanna shred it before we put it in. We wanna break it down. It's kind of like chewing your food properly.
Exactly.
You wanna help me shred?
Exactly. So basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the plant matter to decompose and break down into humus, which is readily available for the plants to use. The plants have all the nutrients they need right here in this, as long as it can break down.
I love this method because by the spring, we'll have fresh compost.
Now, there's some things you can't put in the compost pile.
Dairy. You don't want to put any dairy in here. Baked goods.
The same thing with meats. You don't want any bones, fats, gristles, all those things. You know, we're not trying to attract rats. We're trying to make compost.
There are a lot of people out there who are composting, and it's been, a year or a year and a half, and then they look at their compost bin and say, what am I supposed to do with all this stuff? Well, what I do is I build my soil using compost. It's a great medium to actually grow any vegetables. You can also use it to fertilize. When you're gonna start your vegetable garden in the spring, you take that compost and you mix it in with your soil, and that's basically free fertilizer.
It's a great soil amendment, and it also works good as sort of a soil covering or a mulch. You want to make sure that you mix the compost up every now and then. Take your pitchfork, get in here and just turn it over. That's going to help aerate it. That'll help things break down even faster. You're going to find that it's going to be warmer down in the center of there. And what that is, those are the bacteria and the microbes acting, doing their job, breaking this stuff down, doing the decomposition.
Another thing I like about composting is I get a little workout in every now and then, turning it and also gathering and collecting all the leaves and weeds.
So people are always asking, how long does it take to compost? That depends on how often you're going to come out here with this fork and get you a workout. That depends on how much space you have for compost. And that really depends upon your temperature and also your location. If it's cold, it's going to take longer. Patti and I are starting this in the fall, so it won't be ready for us until spring. But if we were to start this, let's say, in early spring, then we could get one within, I'd say, 6 to 10 weeks. So you can get a couple of rounds of compost during the gardening season.
Of course, we can't show them what this exact stuff is going to look like, but we do have some finished compost already to show.
We do. But you want to make sure when you're done with it that it has a nice consistency.
Look at that. It's brown, it's dark brown. You really want that out of your compost. It's basically the black gold that we want, and it's so nutrient rich that I'm not going to let this go to waste.
It's very organic and it has a good consistency. If you start your compost or you start looking through it and you still find chunks of things, then it's not quite ready.
Let's also put a little bit of this compost in here too, because that'll help break it down a little bit. We're gonna go, we've got a little bit more work to do to fill this whole thing up. What's gonna happen, it's gonna compress down. As it rains, as the weather keeps going, it's just gonna get smaller and smaller and smaller. So every single time you're out here in your yard, you wanna collect your leaves and your weeds and put it in here and just keep filling it up to the top. By spring, we're gonna have some rich compost to spread all over and use as fertilizer in our yard. For more information on composting, visit my website, gardengirltv.com.
My website, wemoss.org.
I'm Patti Moreno, the Garden Girl.
And I'm William Moss.
Thanks for watching.